Is officially 6 p.m. Eastern. I would like to welcome everybody to the Red Bear Net here on Channel 14, the Preppers Channel, with Montana Jim and myself, your net control, Red Bear. At this time, do we have any check-ins? Please give us your username and also what state you're currently in. First caller, please go ahead.
Good evening. This is Donna in Montana.
Welcome in, Donna. We got you down. Glad to have you here, dear. Good evening. Good evening. Next caller that would like to register for the net, please go ahead. One more try. Do we have anybody else who would like to register for the net tonight? Please go ahead. Yes, Jim, what do you say? Do you want to give it a couple minutes here?
Yeah, we can do that. No, that sounds good. I'll kill a little bit of time here by letting everybody who's out there listening. We have a YouTube channel, and we post all of our presentations that we give here in an expanded format on the YouTube channel. We also record these sessions, and they're up there on the YouTube channel as well. You get extra information that you don't get here over the radio because some of the stuff is very visual. And to find it, you go to youtube.com/ that's the @ prepnet-talk2me. That's youtube.com/ prepnet-talk2me. And you'll find a couple of playlists up there and go through those and get caught up. We've probably got close to 50 nets up there as of now, and ranging in topic from all sorts of things. Right. We also have a Gmail account. So if you have any questions, suggestions, comments on what we provide here, what you'd like to hear about, or question on stuff that we've talked about prior or that's on the YouTube channel, you can email us at prepnetch14@gmail.com. That's prepnetch14@gmail.com. And just ask your questions, give us the suggestions, make the comments, etc. And one more quick break. And we are looking for guest hosts who will give a presentation on a topic, of a favorite to them. We've already had one, and it was actually quite good, and actually prompted us to do some stuff that we had not thought of doing. So anyway, anybody who would like to give a little presentation on something that you've done related to prepping, etc., please email us at that email address, and we'll get the ball rolling to get you scheduled for a guest thing. So that's the announcement. So we'll go ahead and go back to Red Bear.
Okay, we'll do a quick check at this time. Do we have anybody that would like to register for the net? Please go ahead.
I'm here.
Yeah, Matt 6 here in Tennessee. Just trying to get stuff from a mower, but I'll probably be outside / jump in.
I'm here.
Well, Jim, I did grab a radio and hopping around on a couple channels trying to rouse some people out. So hopefully some people start showing up.
Yeah, they did. I think Mama KT was one, and Matt was another one. And I thought I heard a third person in there, but I might be hallucinating.
Yeah, I heard Mama KT, me, Matt 6, Tennessee, Mom KT, Tennessee, and somebody else jumped in.
Tom Dyer.
I apologize. I got Matt Downer and I got Mama Katie down. Who was the third person? Please go ahead again.
Tom Dyer.
I'd say it's Tom's Diner. He's kind of low on the mic, but Tom's Diner.
Copy that. Yep, I've got you down, Tom's Diner. Can you tell me what state you're in so I can get you fully registered here?
Come again?
What state are you in?
Georgia. Young Harris, Georgia.
Copy that. Tom, welcome to the net. Do we have anybody else that would like to register? Please go ahead.
Hello, my name's Tiger Paul from St. Joseph, Missouri. Cincinnati, Ohio.
Copy that. Ohio, can I get your username really quick, please?
It's kind of hard for me to see it because I'm partially blind, so I'm just going to go by my first name, Jason.
Copy that, Jason. That works. Thank you for joining the net. Do we have anybody else that would like to join the net currently? Please go ahead.
Net control, please copy Big J in Tallahassee, Florida.
Big J in Tallahassee, Florida. Jason, sir, I'm glad to have you here as well. Thank you very much, sir. Me and Jim are honored by your presence here tonight. Thank you very, very much. Do we have anybody else that would like to register for the net? Please go ahead.
Yeah, you got Bruce from Illinois. Red Bear, how you doing?
Hey, Bruce, we got you down in Illinois. We're doing really good here. Glad to have you here, brother. Thank you for joining. Do we have anybody else who would like to register for the net tonight? Please go ahead. Okay, we'll check back here in a little while, see if we have anybody else that would like to get in on register for the net. At this time, though, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Montana Jim. Jim, welcome on in, brother. If you want to bring us in the topic for the night, the mic is yours, sir.
Hey, thank you, Red Bear, and everybody else that's out there. Thanks for joining in. Hopefully tonight's one will be kind of on an interesting side. It's going to be sort of a cross between the History Channel and a little bit of technical stuff. So we'll get started right away. Let me break here because I have things timed out and I just messed it up. Okay, communication modes, part 1. We're going to talk about the different communication modes that can be used over the radio airwaves. If you've spent any time listening to the bands, not the POC side, you've probably heard signals that sound different from one another. Some sound like normal voice conversations, some sound like buzzing or tones, or others may sound like rapid beeps. We will explore several of the most common radio communication modes. For each one, we will briefly discuss what is the mode, how it works, its strengths, its limitations, and where it is commonly used. Great. Before we start listing them, It helps to understand what the word mode means in radio. A radio mode is simply the method used to place information into the radio signal so it can travel through the air and then be recovered by another radio. Because of these differences, each mode has advantages and disadvantages depending on the conditions and the equipment. We will begin with the voice communication modes. Break. The voice communication modes we will cover are amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, single sideband, and digital voice. After that, we will move into several of the digital text communication modes. These modes usually involve a computer connected to the radio. Some of these modes are designed for weak signals, while others are designed to pass accurate text even in difficult conditions. Break. The digital modes we will discuss include radio teletype, PSK31, Olivia, JSA call, and finally, we will talk about continuous wave. By the end of this discussion, you should have a basic understanding of how these different modes work, why operators use them, and what situations each one is best suited for. Break. Now let's begin with our first voice mode. Amplitude modulation, usually called AM, was one of the first earliest methods used to transmit voice over radio. With AM, the strength of the radio signal, called the amplitude, is increased and decreased in step with the sound of your voice. When you speak into the microphone, your voice creates an audio signal. The radio uses that audio signal to vary the power level of the transmitted radio wave. At the receiving radio, the receiver detects those changes in signal strength and converts them back into audio that can be heard through the speaker. Great. The strengths of AM. AM equipment is relatively simple and easy to understand. It provides natural sounding audio when the signal is strong. Because it was widely used historically, AM is still used in several services, including aviation communications, standard AM broadcast radio, and CB radio. CB and amateur radio both use AM, but they are heard in different ways. CB radio is limited to lower power levels and a small group of channels around 27 megahertz, and conversations are often short and informal. Right? In amateur radio, AM is usually heard on specific portions of the HF band, where operators enjoy experimenting with equipment or operating vintage radios. Amateur stations may also run higher power and larger antennas, which can allow AM signals to travel much further. Now, the limitations of AM. AM is not very efficient. A large portion of the transmitter power does not actually carry useful information. AM also requires more bandwidth than some other voice modes. Another limitation is that AM is more susceptible to electrical noise and interference. Right? However, an AM receiver can act as a rough lightning detector, as you will hear sharp crashing sounds when lightning is nearby. In aviation, pilots may notice these static crashes on AM airband receivers, which can provide a general indication of nearby thunderstorm activity. Now, because of these limitations, other voice modes such as FM and single sideband were developed to improve efficiency and performance. Great. So why use AM in aviation? The main reason is safety. With AM, if two aircraft transmit at the same time, the signals will mix together and both transmissions may be heard at once. While the audio may be messy, pilots and controllers can often still recognize that two stations transmitted simultaneously. Because aviation communication is safety critical, pilots and air traffic controllers need to know if overlapping transmissions occur. AM allows that to happen, which is why it continues to be used in aviation radio systems. Break. Bandwidth comparison. To understand why newer voice modes were developed, it helps to compare how much radio spectrum or space different modes typically use. A typical AM voice signal may occupy around 6 to 10 kilohertz, or 6,000 to 10,000 hertz of bandwidth. An FM signal used on VHF, amateur repeaters, and GMRS VHF repeaters is usually around 12 to 16 kilohertz. Single sideband, however, usually only occupies about 2 to 3 kilohertz. That means several single sideband signals can fit into the same amount of spectrum that a single wide FM signal might use. Break. Now, because sideband also uses transmitter power more efficiently than AM, it became the preferred voice mode for long-distance HF communication. Next, we'll look at frequency modulation. Frequency modulation, usually called FM, is another method used to transmit voice to radio. Instead of changing the strength of the signal like AM does, FM changes the frequency of the radio signal in step with the sound of your voice. So when you speak into the microphone, your voice creates the audio signal. In an FM transmitter, that audio signal causes the transmitted frequency to shift slightly higher or lower around a center frequency. Break. Those small frequency changes carry information through the air. At the receiving radio, the receiver detects those frequency variations and converts them back into audio that can be heard through the speaker. Now, the strengths of FM, one of the biggest advantages of FM is its audio clarity. FM receivers are very good at rejecting electrical noise and static. As long as the signal is strong enough, the received audio can sound very clean and easy to understand. Another characteristic of FM is the capture effect. When two signals are present on the same frequency, the receiver will usually lock on to the stronger signal and suppress the weaker one, unlike the AM. Break. This behavior helps reduce interference in many local communication systems. Because of these advantages, FM is widely used for local communication services. FM is commonly used on amateur VHF and UHF repeaters, handheld radios, mobile radios, and many public safety and commercial radio systems. Now, the limitations of FM. One limitation of FM is that it requires more bandwidth than many other communication modes. As we discussed earlier, a typical FM voice signal may occupy around 12 to 16 kilohertz of spectrum. Because of this wider bandwidth, FM is not usually used on the crowded HF bands where spectrum space is more limited. Break. Another limitation is that FM generally works best for relatively short-range communication. FM signals tend to operate in a line-of-sight manner, especially on VHF and UHF frequencies. Terrain, buildings, and the curvature of the Earth can limit how far those signals travel. To extend coverage, many FM systems use repeaters. A repeater receives the signal from one frequency and retransmits it on another frequency, allowing stations that cannot hear each other directly to communicate. Because of its clear audio and simple operation, FM is often the first mode new operators use when beginning operating on VHF or UHF radios. Break. Now, please watch the expanded presentation on our YouTube channel for a better understanding and additional information on this topic that we couldn't present here. Next week, we'll continue with the rest of the voice modes. If you have any questions about what we have discussed here or anything about prepping, please ask during the roundtable, or send your question to prepnetch14@gmail.com and enter question in the subject line. With that, I'll turn it back to Red Bear.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Really appreciate that. Definitely picking up some new information here about the AM side of everything. Thank you very, very much. We'll do a quick check. Do we have anybody else who would like to register for the net night? Please go ahead. Okay, well, we'll bring in our first contestant, Donna in Montana. Donna, I have a question for you, dear. Do you have your GMRS license?
I got my license as of Friday morning.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Have you gotten your call sign for that yet?
I sure do.
And what is our new GMRS call sign?
WSMP519.
Well, congratulations, WSMP519. This is coming from WRXR548. That is amazing. Congratulations, Donna. And Wednesday, I actually took my exam for the general ham license and passed that as well. But do you have any questions or comments tonight on looking at AM modes versus FM modes?
Well, first of all, congratulations, Red Bear. And second of all, not too much. I don't really have any comments other than I do like listening along with the net, along with the YouTube that Montana Jim puts out. It makes the understanding a little bit easier for me.
Yeah, I definitely enjoy the YouTube channel as well. I can get better notes and things like that because unfortunately we do cram a lot into this hour. And then also with those expanded presentations that he puts together, you get a lot more information. So I really appreciate that. So, but Donna, thank you very much for being here with us tonight. We're gonna sneak on down to Matt in Tennessee. Matt, brother, how you doing tonight? Matt 6, are you still with us, boss? All right, we'll come back to Matt. He probably had to step to the side. How about you, Mama Katie? Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. My question is, I was listening when you were talking about in aviation, and that when AM was transmitting, and you have two that are close by that will transmit at the same time, what do they do in that situation?
Okay, as I said, it was a safety deal. So what happens is, if two planes contact a control tower at the same time, the controller, he may be able to hear one better and he'll acknowledge that one, but he will know that there was another plane transmitting. And then after he gets through with the first contact, he'll say, other aircraft, come with your traffic. So it's a safety thing. With FM, that capture happens, and the weaker signal plane might be 2 or 3 miles behind the further away, might not even be heard. So he's still traveling along at 100 and some odd miles an hour towards the airport with no contact whatsoever. So it's there's a heterodyne is usually what you'll hear. You'll hear sort of a kind of sound, and that's what lets them know. And AM is 100 years old. It is a very old technology, but it still has its uses. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Do you have any other comments or questions tonight, Katie?
No, that was it for me.
Copy that. And thanks again for being here. We're going to move on down to Tom's Diner in Georgia. Tom's Diner is a new subscriber here to the net. Welcome in, Tom's Diner. Do you have any questions or comments on tonight's discussion, sir?
Yeah. Hi. Good night. I do have a question. What is the difference between the AM, FM, and the radios that we're using?
Okay. We will be covering that in the next time. We're going to be going on to single sideband and digital modes, which these radios are considered digital. So when you speak into these radios, there's an analog, which is your speech, gets converted into digitals, basically ones and zeros. And then that's what gets transmitted to the tower, through the tower, along the backbone of the internet to a server, and that server distributes that signal to everybody that's tuned to the particular frequency. So what you're doing is, it is a mode, it is a digital mode, but you're not going literally from my radio, where I'm at, Montana, to your radio there in Georgia. You're going, there's a backbone or infrastructure. So we'll get into a tad more about the digital stuff next week. But does that answer your question?
Yeah. I guess the other question I have is that are the signals of these radios stronger than a cellular phone? That was my other one.
That's kind of a yes and a no. I hate to do that to you. These radios will transmit about up to half a watt, which is not very much power. The voice part transmits about that. It might transmit a little bit more, but not much. The difference between the voice side and the side we're on, the POC side or data side of the cell tower, is the bandwidth that's used. The bandwidth on these is a lot smaller. The smaller the bandwidth, the better it works, if that makes sense. And it can actually, go further. But they're not transmitting really more power than the phone. It's just that what they're transmitting is much more efficient and actually works much, much, much better than the actual phone.
And also, with your antenna on these radios being external versus the antenna built into your phone, you're going to get better transmit and receive signals with these radios versus a typical cell phone. So that's something else to take into consideration.
Okay, I was just curious. Like, I live in the mountains, and there is going to be times that we travel over the mountains, which could be, United States Forest Service, and there's no cell phone service there. That I was wondering if it would help us with, especially when going on hikes and things like that, to get a better signal.
Can I answer that from experience over here?
Oh, most definitely, Katie. Go right ahead. Please do.
So I live in a very rural area, and to get to, like a metro area, you have to go over a mountain. And there's a lot of little spots in this area where my cell phone won't pick up, but the radios do. And I think it's because of that efficiency that he was talking about.
Thank you.
Let me break in here and throw in a little anecdotal. I'm in Montana. Montana is not known for good cell coverage, especially anybody who's a trucker that's ever run through here. It's horrible. I gave my son a couple of these radios. He's 160 miles north of me, up near the Canadian border. And when I gave him the radios, we held a conversation all the way up. We had 95% coverage, and we're in the Rocky Mountains. I'm at 6,000 feet, and I'm looking out my window. I'm seeing 10, 11,000 foot high mountains. So these radios do work better. But if you get to where you cannot hit a cell tower, they're going to be a brick, and you just need to understand that. And hopefully that's part of what we're bringing here, is that there are different ways to communicate, and there's not one that works for every situation. So we're just trying to bring out things that people can think about. Gee, what should I do? If I end up, like you say, you go on these hikes and you have no cell coverage. But again, these radios may work, like Mama KP said.
At the same time, too, Jim, I've been getting a lot of reports with the newer Talk2Me radios coming out with the Wi-Fi capabilities. They are able to connect to Starlink, for example. So if you had a Starlink Mini with you while you're out and you could get signal with your Starlink, you would still have connectivity with your Talk2Me radio if you had one with the Wi-Fi feature on that. So that's a very good thing as well.
Real quick, that's what you're hearing from me. I have Starlink. The radio I'm on is a Wi-Fi radio. It's connected to Starlink. And coming back down in Salt Lake City someplace, that's the downlink. So in that particular case, yes, these radios could actually do better than, even like ham radios and such.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate all the info.
Anytime, Tom's Diner, anytime, brother. Like we said, we're glad you're here for the net tonight. Thank you very much. We're going to do a fast check. Do we have anybody else who would like to register for the net? Please go ahead. Okay, we're going to double back to Matt in Tennessee. Matt, do you have any questions or comments on tonight's topic?
I appreciate it. Much obliged. I've been kind of busy running around trying to do batteries and chargers. I can go on with that. But with the Starlink, that's pretty good. We got quite a few radios that are Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and Starlink's pretty good. The subject, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, it's PrepperNet. Be ready. Make sure you're ready for whatever comes. That's all I can say. Sorry, I was driving around. Like net control.
Hey, thanks a lot for being here, Matt. Definitely. We're glad you're here, brother. We're going to continue on down the list, though. Tiger Paw in Missouri. Tiger Paw, do you have any questions or comments on tonight's topic? Please go ahead, sir. One more try for Tiger Paw. Tiger Paw, are you still with us? Okay, we'll check back with him. We've got Jason in Ohio. Jason, do you have any questions or comments on tonight's subject? Please go ahead. Jason in Ohio, are you still with us, sir? Okay, we'll move on down to Big J in Florida. Big J, do you have any comments or questions tonight? Please go ahead. Big J in Florida, are you still with us, sir? Okay, we're developing a little list here. We'll move down to Bruce in Illinois. Bruce, do you have any questions or comments tonight? Please go ahead.
Yeah, 10-4. Just a comment about the aircraft. As it depends on the airport, and the air controllers hand off different frequencies to the planes as they get nearer to the airport. So it's not one frequency that an airport has, but it's a multitude of different frequencies. Even helicopters, I monitor helicopters all the time in the Chicago area, and it's quite interesting. So just a comment on that.
Yeah, no, this is true. There's ground frequencies, there's tower frequencies, there's approach frequency, departure frequencies, especially in big metropolitan areas. You get out more rural, and there's usually a unicom frequency that is used on a lot of uncontrolled airports. But yeah, but it is definitely there for if both aircraft are trying to talk to the same person, say the tower or approach control. If there is a conflict with the radio, like with these radios, if I'm keyed up, nobody else can key up. So we don't even know if somebody else is screaming for help, kind of thing. So, but yeah. So, but again, it's kind of interesting. You're having 100-year-old technology that is still being used in commercial and in et cetera, kind of thing. And so sometimes the new is not always the best. And when we get further into this, I will be bringing up the original way that radio transmissions happened, and that mode is still being used today. So it's kind of interesting to see how things change. The more they remain the same, kind of thing. But thanks for the comments on that.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mama Katie.
So I'm wondering, would all aviation towers and things, they have to keep all sorts of the radios on hand for that kind of situation, or when people become pilots and stuff, is it part of the protocol standards to make sure that they have certain set equipment? I mean, how do they determine all that?
Well, by FAA ruling, Federal Aviation Administration. That is the mode of communication for contacting, any traffic control type things. Some of the commercial airplanes, airliners, they will have HF radios that are on different frequencies. It's ones that go to Hawaii or across the Atlantic and such. And they also may have their own VHF private frequencies for them. But there's not an issue there with two planes that are coming in to land. So that's why I said it was a safety critical for it. So the tower has AM radios. If they have multiple different frequencies, there will be a person manning each one type thing. But that's how that's mandated, is the aircraft have to have these AM radios, and the towers controllers have to have that same type of radio, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for that. I'm going to try to put this battery in my lawnmower and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you guys very much. I appreciate it.
Copy that, Matt. Copy that, Matt. We're going to run down our list here, too, real quick, Jim. We had a few people that didn't respond earlier. We'll go ahead and start with Tiger Paw. Tiger Paw, are you still with us, sir? Okay, we'll try for Jason in Ohio. Jason in Ohio, are you back with us, sir? Okay, that was a negative copy on Jason in Ohio. We'll try Big J in Florida. Big J, are you back with us, sir? Okay, do we have any other comments or questions tonight with the net? If so, please go ahead.
Red Bear, would you just repeat one more time your DMRS call sign for me?
Definitely, Donna. That is WRXR 548. That would be Whiskey Romeo X-Ray Romeo 548.
Perfect. Thank you.
Copy that, and congratulations again on your GMRS license. Do we have any other questions or comments tonight? If so, please go ahead.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thanks to the net. Appreciate y'all. And, keep radioing on, no matter if it's ham or GMS or whatever. Have a good time.
Hey, we're glad you're here, brother. Glad to have you here, Matt. Do we have any other comments or questions? This will be the last call. Please go ahead. Okay, we'll throw it back to you one last time. Jim, do you have any other comments tonight? Please go ahead and come on back up here and grab this mic.
Okay, good deal. Thanks to everybody for all your comments and your questions. We got to get that information out there, and I'll beat the poor dead horse. Please check out our YouTube channel, and there's more information on it than what I gave here, and it's in a visual form, and there even may be a cartoon or two in there. I don't know, but it'll give you a lot more information. There's a hard copy you can click, so you don't even have to take notes. You can get the whole thing there. In the video description, there can be links to other things that we talk about. This particular one, no, but later on there will be. But and you heard Red Bear when he gave his call sign, he used phonetic spelling, and I actually just finished a YouTube only thing. I haven't posted it yet. That talks about, a training thing on phonetic spelling. Let me break. So that's kind of important. These radios can give a false sense of how communication can be because they are actually so clear. And I mean, you get these big long distances, but you are relying on a backbone that has many failure points. So we're just trying to bring to your attention, if you're preparing for anything, not for the end of the world, that there are different types of communications out there. They all have their goods, their bads, their uglies, and they all do different things, and you need to determine what kind of communications you need to have, what everybody is going to need to have in the way of communications and training and such. So other than that, I would just encourage you to go on the YouTube channel and watch, even if you've already listened to this one, go watch it. You may get some more information. And with that, I'll quit beating the poor dead horse because he's just laying out there in the pasture. I'll back to Red Bear.
Well, before we wrap this up, I just want to give a special thank you to everybody that did register tonight and join the net. So thank you very much for that. If you're sitting in the background monitoring, maybe next week, you'll go ahead and register and join in. If you want to register and monitor, that's fine as well. Just let us know during the registration that you would like to monitor only, and we will allow that. Thank you very much. Jim, I also want to give you a special thank you. Jim does all the work on the YouTube channel. He records all the nets, gets them loaded up, and he also puts together all the expanded presentations. So thank you for all the hard work you do to get this information out to everybody, Jim. I'm going to give a quick break here. At this time, though, we're going to go ahead and turn channel 14 here, the Preppers channel, back over to regular operations. I want to thank Jim, our host, for bringing the information, and I want to thank Jason Ford, if he's in the background, for allowing us to run the net here on channel 14, the Preppers channel, Talk to Me Radio here. So y'all have a great rest of your weekend. Have a good start to your week. Hopefully we see you back next Sunday. Same time, same channel. Have a great weekend, everybody. 73.
Y'all have a blessed week.
Yeah, blessed week. I'm actually wonder saying aluminum with copper with conductivity. Trying to do aluminum to copper, copper to aluminum. That might be a decent subject with no locks and all that. But anyways, y'all had a good job. So good job, guys. Sorry, I'm trying to do stuff.
You better have some kind of connecting mechanism. You don't want to put both those together. Aluminum and copper, dissimilar metals, don't conduct exactly the same way. So just sort of be careful about that.
Yeah, copy that. I know no locks and all that, but between like connectors and all that. So yeah, hey, well, yeah, no, I know better. That's to an extent.
We could only hope, Matt. We could only hope.
Yeah, you know, so Matt, channel, but now it's up to you. Yeah, I appreciate it, Red Bear and Jim. Appreciate you guys. That was good.
Hey, Matt, we're going to have to come up with some kind of Matt 6 super power theme song or whatever that automatically queues up when you come to the channel.
No, I'm humble. You know, I love y'all. So I'm humble. I don't want no special nothing.
Copy that. Well, hey, Jim, real quick before we get off here, I actually did some power testing this weekend.
Power testing batteries or power testing RF radios?
I kind of brought both worlds together. I've got a Zoom spot, a little hot spot, and I haven't been using that for a little while since I got my Wires X node built. And Friday, I plugged it into a little Anchor battery pack, and I got that to stay operating for 2.5 days off that little battery pack. I was pretty impressed. The radio actually had some pretty heavy use on it. And then I was trying to leave the house and connect the Zoom spot to the hotspot on my phone. Once I was away from the Wi-Fi, let me give a quick break. My battery died on me, so I had to plug the Zoom spot into the car. Well, now I'm testing a bigger battery with the Zoom spot to see how long this is going to last. So kind of excited about this because looking at possible, batteries for the trip down to Hamvention or whatever.
Right. You might want to look into, for your testing purposes. There's some inexpensive meters out there that you put your one side connects to the battery, the other side connects to your load, and it'll turn around and tell you the voltage. It'll tell you how many amps it's drawing, and a lot of them are bidirectional. So if you're charging it, it'll show how many amps and watts is charging and how many amps and watts it's using. So you can get a real world idea of exactly what it uses. And of course, something receiving is going to use less power than something that's transmitting. So most of them also have a feature where they will, excuse me, they will capture all of how many total watt hours or amp hours were used. So if you get those cycles, you can turn around and go, okay, in 24 hours it used this much, instead of, okay, when it's receiving it uses this much, when it's transmitting it's using that much, and I have to figure out all that stuff. So you might want to look into that. And that stuff actually works really good for testing a lot of your batteries and stuff in your solar system.
Copy that. Yeah, thank you. I will definitely do that. I've got a multimeter I can actually start hooking up, and I'll look into the power usage with a Zoom spot there in the software, see if I can't pull any information up on that. So thank you. That's good information to have on doing all this testing.
You know, especially since you got your general, you're going to find you're going to actually need a lot more test equipment. You're going to need SWR meters, power meters. Look into a nano VNA. That's pretty cool. That's better than an antenna analyzer in a lot of respects, because an antenna analyzer, you sort of tune in the frequency that you're either trying to operate on and see whether it's resonant, or you tune it until it's resonant and you see what the frequency is. With a nano VNA, the capability of looking at an antenna without having to transmit any power, you can see the whole HF band and where your antenna is resonant and where it's not. It's actually a pretty interesting thing, and it's not super expensive.
Yeah, right now I've got a analyzer here I've got to learn how to use. I'm going to start poking around with that this week, and then I'm going to test my feed line and antenna for the Wires X node I've got. Currently I'm only running 5 watts on that radio. I'd like to get it up to 20 watts so I can continue playing around and do more with that radio. So yeah, I am definitely going to be buying more equipment and tools and whatnot. So I just made my first solder connection ever. I had to solder PL259 connector onto the end of my coax. I've never done that before, and kind of embarrassed about the job, but it's working. So hooked the multimeter up to everything, and everything looked good when I did my ohm testing on that. So I'm kind of excited about the way everything's coming together.
And now around that, they solder like rings and all that, do electrical connections and all that. I love soldering. Been doing it since like 6 years old. Anyways, I'm on back right now. The boss is here. Throw my radio or something. Hey, boss. No, she said don't throw it.
But yeah, I need to get off here for the night. So I got an early start in the morning, and I got more radio stuff I got to play with when I get out of work tomorrow. So I got to get some rest. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah, I copy that. I do appreciate it. Thank you guys very much.
Hey, we appreciate you being here, Matt. So we really do.
Anytime, brother.
Yes, sir. Y'all have a good one, though. Y'all have a good one. We'll talk to you later.
Take it easy.
Thank you for the info.
No problem, Tom Snyder. And come on back next week. We're going to continue this thing, getting into other deals. And if you have any questions, definitely don't feel afraid to ask them. And they don't have to be about what we talked about. They can be about anything in preparing. Food preparation, planning, the whole ball of wax there. So if it sort of sounds like we focus on one thing, it's just because sometimes the topic is kind of big. And we just finished up at a topic about all electricity, and that went 21 nets because of the complexity of it, and solar and batteries and what you go on to run, etc. So anyway, hope to hear you back next weekend.
Thank you. Is this every Sunday?
Yes, it is. Every Sunday on this channel at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And like I said, we've been doing this more than half a year. Like I said, we've got about 50 nets posted on the YouTube channel, starting from the very beginning of how do I start preparing for whatever. So there's a lot of different topics, and we still have a bunch of different topics to cover. When we finish this one, we're going to get into to about water. So yep. So hopefully, if you can go to the website again, go to that YouTube site, you can get caught up. These things are only 6 to 9 minutes, maybe 10 minutes long. So it's not like you got to sit down there, and watch something that's an hour long. And you might just, find some of the stuff interesting, at least get your mind going to thinking about, preparing for anything.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
No problem. You have a good day.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm always on your side, prepping myself, but sometimes I can partake, sometimes I can't. But prepping is it's a daily thing, and it can be other stuff too. So, but life is short. Just be ready.
No, that's really true. And see, we prep everybody preps. They just don't know it. We've said this before. If you know, oh, gee, I'm going to go to the store tomorrow, you make sure your car's got gas. You figure out, okay, I'm going to leave at 10 o'clock because I want to be down there by blah. We prep. Everybody preps. They just don't know it. And there is nothing bad about prepping. Nothing. There's no downside. Zero, except being called, a nut job. But, even if nothing happens, you've got stocks of food, whatever, that you bought at a lower price than it would be to buy it now. So, as I said, zero downside. And your things happen just in normal. I've had a couple of things up here with electricity and with well pumps, and implement my, whatever my plan was. And if I didn't have a plan, I'd be running around like a chicken with its head cut off. And I do that enough just for general reasons. So, yep, you're right, Matt.
Yeah, for me, it was like the hurricanes in Florida. And the kids in Vero Beach, we had the kids back in 2018, 19. And I was like, okay, I gotta look past me and past like everybody else, like me, my wife, my kids, my family, my friends, and look past that. So I bought a generator, then I bought another generator, a bigger one, and then I looked into prepping. Well, for me, being a kind of a farm boy slash kind of sorta in Wisconsin, I was always kind of ready, but make sure you take care of your family. And that's number one. And let me on key real quick. Hold on. Biggest part of it really is prepping is just be ready. Make sure you have some water, make sure you have some food, medical supplies, prepper bag, whatever have you. Biggest thing is just maybe not knowing what's going to happen, but be ready for what's going to happen. Because if you got your pants down, you ain't ready. So you make sure you're ready.